Time once again for a BW3 podcast. It is brought to you by Algeier Performance and by Schaefer's Oil, Kevin Stubblefield, and Brennan Willard as we produce this on a rainy Tuesday. Rain is not a good word this week with the Show Me 100 on the docket. But as you said before we started, if any track can withstand the rain, it's Lucas Oil Speedway.
Yeah, they've got a monumental task ahead of them this week, but Saturday looks good. If it's a one-day show, it's a one-day show is the way I kind of look at it. But the one thing people got to realize is all the teams were in Nebraska last week, a lot of the Lucas Oil teams, the national touring teams, and they all just drove down, so they got rained out Friday and Saturday night. Severe storms in the forecast Saturday night. Hail, tornadoes, all that stuff. So most of those guys booked it. And I think there's already 10 teams in the pits Sunday. So a lot of teams are here and they will do everything to get it in if they can. But we'll see. They're not calling for all day rains. It's just scattered showers here and there. So we'll see what happens. And hopefully we can get 4 nights in a row in. I always tell everybody it's the biggest week of the year. And for us, for anybody racing locally, it's the Show Me 100's it is a crown jewel race for everybody. It's the biggest race in the Lucas Oil Tour season, and it's biggest race obviously in our area. So pretty exciting to go there this weekend, and then top it off with a new tradition with the Missouri 50 at Springfield Raceway, which I still think it's like the old tradition there. You always used to have the Tony Roper Memorial on the Sunday after the Show Me 100 when it was at West Plains. So should be a, hopefully, weather permitting, a great weekend.
Is May about the biggest racing month of the calendar, do you think?
Memorial Day weekend for sure is, with the Formula One at Monaco, Indy 500, Coke 600, All-Star race the week before that, I'm sure you listened to Coffee with Kenny, or if you saw any of the Indy 500 qualifying, like how many people were in the stands. Looks like, that place holds so many, probably 100,000 in the stands just to watch qualifying. And there wasn't it was a full field. Like everybody made the field this year. But he said hotel prices were insane around Indianapolis last weekend and over doubled. So it's a big weekend, or big few weeks for racing in general. It was kind of cool last weekend, too, when you think about, racing dirt in the Heartland Tour having their first race, going to West Plains, which was the original home of the Show Me 100 from 93 through 08 or 09. And so pretty neat to see that. And then when you really think about how old you're getting, when you put those numbers into perspective, you're 17 years, 16, 17 years of the Show Me 100, where it was at. And now it's almost that many years now at Lucas Oil Speedway. So it's hard to believe that it's been that many years since it was at West Plains. And then it's the next 3 years or so. Somebody will correct me, but you're really close to having it right on the money of the same amount of years at Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland as it was at West Plains.
Well, unfortunately, not a good night to get the 3-car out on the dirt at West Plains on Friday, was it?
No, that was very frustrating, and glad it happened on a non-points weekend for us, I guess. But we had electrical issues. We had a ground issue somewhere. To be honest, I still don't know where it was at, but about 8 o'clock Sunday night, we got the car to finally fire. The problem for us was we could have went on the racetrack and push started, but that would have gave you coming straight to green to qualify with no heat in your motor, and I wasn't willing to take that chance of blowing up a motor. Just not going to do that. So if we could have figured out a way to get heat, push start somewhere in the pits to get heat in it, we maybe could have done that. But at the same time, we also didn't know the way it was going. We changed 4 starters, solenoids, batteries, starter switch. I don't know what else I can't really think of anything we didn't change. Everything but the ignition box and the coil. And we knew it wasn't those 2 things. But the wild thing was we had current and we were checking the volts, and it was, I am not an electrician for sure, but that was a wild, frustrating night. we actually kept working on the car all the way through the B feature. Just if we could have fired the car and got the car to get heat in the car and tagged the back of the B, we were going to do that. And instead of just loading up and going home. But anyway, we came home, got the asphalt car out, and went back to work on the dirt car Sunday night, obviously, to figure out what problem was. And I think we have it fixed, or it fired up. So we new starter put in, another new starter put in, and I think everything's ready to go now. So it's just when you have an electrical issue like that, it's very frustrating.
Good night, though, for Terry Phillips on Friday in the late model.
Yeah, awesome night for him. I watched his heat, and I watched the A feature, and it was just like watching a race at West Plains 17, 18 years ago when, Terry was so good there. And kind of old school race, too, where, the racetrack was slick. It didn't rubber up. It just really put on a really good show Friday night. I watched the highlights Saturday night, but Friday night was a great night of racing, and I told everybody it'd be more your Phillips be the two you had to beat, and it was kind of the way it went all weekend there. But really good run for Terry, and awesome to see him get a win.
Home track for Donnie Miller of West Plains in the stock division. There's something to be said when you run on your home track.
Yes,
you know the ins and outs.
You
and
do,
he does.
and he's a good race car driver too, and having all that add in a lot of laps there in a stock car around there, and good for him to pick up the win.
Yep. Then you go to I-44 Speedway on Saturday, and you and Dylan Bates battling it out.
We did. That was a good race for everybody there. Dylan had a good night too, and we've got a little bit of homework to do, and I told everybody that, like, we still are not where we need to be. We're pretty close on our pavement car, but not where we need to be. And Dylan came in there, and man, he's really fast right now. And just we qualified well, and I was pretty happy with how we timed in. I knew when we come across start finish line where I left time on the table, and Dylan timed in exactly where I thought we should have been. And he did a great job of getting through traffic. And I think I looked at the scoreboard, and I think by lap 17, both of us were through traffic by then, but he had a pretty big lead then by the time I got through traffic, and we could mirror his lap times, but that was about it. And it was like he'd be a 10th faster, and then I'd be a 10th faster, and then we'd be the same, and it was back, forth. After the race, we were kind of laughing about it because it was like, man, I was like, his spotter and my spotter both, they're leading you a lap, you're a 1, leader's a 1, you're a 2, the leader's a 1, you're an O, the leader's a 1. And it was like, holy crap, like we are like half of a 10th to a 10th most off, if not within half a 10th of each other every lap. And it was just a late race restart there. And Jimmy Fung got a really, really good start with 8 to go there. And I could not clear him through 1 and 2. And I probably picked the wrong line there, but I don't know. I wasn't sure I felt like I had one chance there in the restart, and we didn't capitalize on that at all. I had a terrible restart with 8 to go. And so don't think it'll matter that Dylan was better than us. And like I said, we were so close in lap times that whoever got to the lead first probably going to be really good position to win. And he got through traffic very well, and he's got a really, really fast race car right now. So hats off to him, and congrats to him. It was a lot of fun, though, racing with him again. And good crowd Saturday night, and tough. I feel like it's tough when you have graduation and so much going on, on that night to get a good crowd, but it was a good weekend.
Coming up at I-44 Speedway Saturday, June 6th, the middle school students are going to get free admission. So hopefully the parents and the kids come out. 4:30 gates will open, and racing will begin at 6 at I-44.
Yeah, that was a really cool deal they had set up yesterday for the middle school students, but Mother Nature had other plans on that, and we had our car actually down there to run a few laps in front of the kids and let the kids go look at the cars. But they got to look at the car, but we did not, obviously with slicks, couldn't get up there on the racetrack with that. But cool deal coming up there. We'll miss that one. We'll be in Burlington, Iowa that Saturday night. So one of my favorite racetracks, actually. But it'll be a good show then. And I think the 14th or 15th, they race again there. And we are planning on being at that one.
Springfield, 102 cars on Saturday, and another win for Trent Wynn of Hartfield.
Big night for Trent, and a good car count for Jerry again at Springfield. Trent picked up 2 in a row in Midwest Mods. I saw Ryan Gilmore won B Mods there, and a good night for him as well. So really good night at Springfield, and Jerry's got it solid night going on there, and a lot of momentum for that racetrack going into this weekend for sure.
Lucas, they had a sprint car program last weekend. Had 65 sprint cars there, so that was the prelude to the Show Me 100. So again, we knock on wood that the rain will abate somewhat to allow them to go racing in Wheatland.
Yeah, so that race has had all kinds of weather issues in the past. 19 had the tornado, 20 of course COVID. I guess you can't call that weather, but it was there for a couple of years. It was really bad, but Saturday's forecast looks pretty good. Thursday's going to be tough, I think, because the forecast looks like that evening. But Friday looks good as far as a good chance of getting the race in. And like I said, Saturday looks good. So hopefully weather will cooperate a little bit and see what happens. I think 99% sure World of Outlaws is off. I've not looked to see how many of those guys are coming, but with 75,000 to win, there'll be a lot of people show up, obviously, for that. It's good start money for that race as well. So big night of biggest weekend of the year, like we said, for dirt late model racing in the area, and a lot of fun going to be had on Saturday night.
Mars series that was up at Mattoon, Illinois. Brandon Shepard takes the win there.
Yeah, they had a photo finish at Quincy on Friday night. Jordan Bauer won there Friday, and then B. Shep drove all night from Nebraska to get to Coles County, and really, really small 8th mile racetrack, 40 laps, green, white checker on it.
That's small.
8 mile. Yes, smaller than the Dome. Track was originally built for like mini sprints, and somebody came up with the idea, let's go race late models on it. When I saw that on the Mars schedule, that whole weekend was tough because Quincy's pretty small. It's a quarter mile, but it races like a bull ring, and it's a good racetrack. But you've got you're gonna bend some sheet metal. Then they were supposed to go to Highland, which is a bull ring. We talked about that last year. It's like Bowman Gray of dirt, and then you go to even smaller racetrack with Coles County, and like Quincy's a quarter, Highland's about the size of Midway with banking. Like if you went to Midway and put a lot of banking in Midway, it's about how Highland is. And then Coles County is so small. And I was like, man, that is going to be your sheet metal guy's going to hate you after the weekend. But it's like Chris Davis should have sponsored that whole weekend, the Midwest Sheet Metal, bull ring bash or something, because it was like little track, which kind of what Illinois is known for is bull rings like that. But to go green, white checker for 40 laps, the caliber of teams and everybody in that series is obviously it showed right there with 40 laps like that.
That's fascinating. You really have to take good notes and then consult your notebook from year to year on those places.
Yes, you do. And I think too, experience and just doing it. Like to me, I remember the first time we went to a real small place was Rock Island, Illinois. And it's like the size of those places. And I'll never forget that because it was hot and miserable that day out. It was a Sunday race. Water truck was broke. It was like one of those deals. But you pull in there and they it was like a wood wall gate and they shut the gate. Like you're pulling on the racetrack for hot laps and you see them shut the gate and they're like, all right, you're good. And I'm like, this is 5th, 6th race I'd had on dirt. And I'm like, this place is so small. Like, just go in there and really get the car sideways. And like, you're asking people like what to do. Because to me, that was more intimidating doing that than going to like a big half mile. Because a big half mile, you're like, well, let's keep the car straight, drive around there in a straight line like you're driving on a pavement track. And you're not going to mess anything up and then get your speed figured out and you'll be fine. These little tracks, you're I mean, you're go to work and you're Jackie Chan in that thing and on the steering wheel the whole time. And, but it was pretty fun and you learn really quickly what you're doing. And, that was what was good about racing Mars last year is you race so many of those little bull rings and they get used to it. And then I really to me, West Plains is one of my favorite racetracks just because the way it races and you can race all over the place and just, we're spoiled when we have places like that. And in Springfield, it's a 1/4 mile racetrack, but it races like a 3/8 really, because it's so wide and you have multiple grooves you can pick and you get momentum built up around there. And it's actually one of the fastest racetracks you go to for the size, and it does not race like a 1/4 mile. Like it's just a big sweeping circle. And, so it's just different, going to different racetracks and seeing how they race and how that goes. But, pretty cool to see a little bitty track like that just have major success on a national scene like that. That race was also on Amazon Prime. So I thought that was cool. And I really wish they'd give the numbers of that publicly, but I know that they are getting a huge viewership numbers on those nights. So that Mars race live from Coles County on Amazon Prime, well, with a partnership with Flow. So a random person is going, you have a random person flip through the channels and they got to see, a lot of times when you see bull rings, you're like, it's going to be a crap show. And they got to see Ryan Unzinger and B-Shep put on a show. And for people that are a casual race fan, they've never seen dirt late model racing like that, to flip on Amazon Prime and see that race, pretty awesome. And they're going to tune into the next one. They're going to tune into the Show Me 100, and see the best, just some of the best racing they'll ever see is that. So I think it's everybody. We've talked about it. Everybody talks about it. Streaming is the number one thing most talked about right now. And it just depends on what you're trying to accomplish and where you're at on what you're seeing on streaming. Because I think it hurts attendance. Yeah. I think it's going to hurt this weekend because I think you're going to see a lot of people within a 60-mile radius of Lucas Oil Speedway not willing to take a chance on the rain Thursday night or Friday night. You can't beat the atmosphere of the Show Me 100. That people are going to come Saturday no matter what. But if they think there's a chance of it raining out one of these 2 nights, they're not going to come. They're going to watch on TV. And I don't know what you can do about that. It's okay. It's part of the game because you also got to take the good of that how many hundreds of thousands of more eyes are getting on the sport. Whether it's Dirt Vision, Flow, Race On, Race and Dirt, those 4 streaming services are so good at the coverage they provide. So it's different, obviously, but and then you have Show Me Dirt, and Thomas is doing an exceptional job of the streaming I-44. If you wait 4 or 5 days, it's free after, so it's not hurting attendance there because it's not live. You already know what's happened. Now you can pay and watch it live, which is good. You should have to pay. It's what Hoffman does for his weekly shows. And I think that's how it needs to be. Weekly shows, you should have to pay to watch. But what do? Because Bowman Gray on Flow just gets more people in the grandstand. So it's a double-edged sword, of what streaming is doing to the sport. But there's no doubt that streaming has taken the Show Me 100 and brought it to a higher level. It's taken the World 100 and made it a bigger deal. So you can't argue the fact that it's made your national touring big events even bigger. And that's the cool thing about this weekend. It's the biggest one of the year, and it's right here.
Denny Hamlin wins at Dover, the All-Star race. There's a lot of empty grandstand area there at Dover, but I'm sure a lot of eyeballs were on that race too. Yeah,
I think Dover added so many seats, and it's so big of a seating racetrack that the days of the grandstands being full there are not happening. Just like Busch Stadium getting the largest crowd, they had in 3 years on Friday night. And it wasn't a sellout, right? It was just a good crowd. I don't think you're going to see Cardinals weren't selling out because they had a terrible product on the field. But I think the days of a sellout for of a place like Dover are gone. It still gets 80, 90, 100,000 people in the stands.
Still a lot of people there.
Yes, and more than any Major League Baseball game. Double what a Major League Baseball game is getting, right? But it's still hard for us older fans to see that and be like, man, why isn't it there? What are they at? But Dover's going to race too. Like, terrible choice for the All-Star race. I understand why they did it, what's going on there. Like, I get all the reasoning. It raced really well, but the format was terrible. Like, 350 laps for an all-star race is not good. And I think they learned that. And I think that, a lot of these decisions were made. You got to remember, a lot of this decisions on things like this were made in 2025 with Steve Phelps, I think NASCAR's making so many better things happen since Steve Phelps is gone that, and nothing against him. It's just, I just don't think he was the right pick. And now that you've got Ben Kennedy, O'Donnell's doing a good job riding the ship there, you got to remember that they can't do it until you're not going to see the results till probably 2028 of what they've really been able to do and what they're able to accomplish. So, cool to see, though, Denny Hamlin win the All-Star race. His interview was very good. The the O'Reilly Auto Parts race was awesome. Allgaier didn't get the win, obviously, but the finish of that, Corey Wide going 3 wide on the top, just bonsaiing in there to get the win was incredible. And then Kyle Busch getting another truck win was good too.
I was glad to see that. I'm not a big Kyle Busch fan, but Kyle Busch is kind of like the Yankees in baseball.
I agree.
He's up there, when he's competing, when he's winning occasionally, the sport's better, I think.
I agree. And it's like, when the hell did you think you'd be excited to see Kyle Busch win a truck race? Because he won so many cup races. And they're off. I mean, they're just not there. But, the one thing about Dover that hopefully, they had a lot of carnage and a lot of big wrecks in that race. That track is a self-cleaning racetrack, and they have some major wrecks there. And the speed of Dover is incredible. Like, that is one of the racetracks that everybody needs to go see in person, because TV doesn't do it any justice, and it is a very exciting race, even though it's on concrete. They need to put it back asphalt, and it'd be a lot better. But really, it's just for what Dover is, it was a great event, and hopefully next year they have a points race there, not the All-Star race. And I think the All-Star race at Charlotte's a good thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. They've got the 1.5 mile package really, really good right now with these cars. You got to remember that the reason the All-Star races were moving around is because the racing at Charlotte sucks so bad. Well, what sucks now is Charlotte's got the best racing in the country, but you can't have 3 events at one track. Like, I get it. Like, the more 3 events at one racetrack, probably too much for that. So, maybe get a 1.5 mile. Kansas be a good All-Star race, and just have an All-Star race in one cup date or one regular date, something like that. Kansas produces great racing. It would be a great one for the All-Star race.
Charlotte Saturday night for the next cup race, and today is Hall of Fame day as we put this in the hopper. So both fingers crossed, toes crossed for Larry Phillips.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a big show next week about that too. I actually pitted next to Terry Friday night, and we were talking about that too. Larry should have been in that a long time ago. And it's time. And I hope, I know Dale Jr. is going to be in that room today, and I hope that he really pulls some, and I'm not even saying pull some strings, but when you have Mark Martin and Rusty Wallace and Dale Jr., and Dale didn't really get to see Larry race, but people that did get to see him race, if they'll get to take the floor and get to give their influence, it'll be a big deal. So hopefully this is the last show we do without him in the Hall of Fame.
No doubt. Well, hope the 3-car fires at Wheatland. Hope the rain holds off, and hope you have a good time and a good race over there.
Yeah, we will obviously have the backup car with us for that too. So hope we don't pull that thing out. It's got 0 laps on it. So got to get time to test that one. But big weekend coming up. We've got a special Memorial Day paint scheme that we're running for the Show Me 100 again this year. So excited about that. We're going to unveil that car tomorrow. Or on Wednesday, and then we are going to auction off the doors and raise money locally for our AUSA Warrior Need Fund. So pretty excited about that, and looking forward to Show Me 100.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining us for the BW3 Podcast, brought to you by Algar Performance by Schaefer's Oil, presented and produced by Swino Visuals.